Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit. We've been reading from the Adi Lila, chapter 8, and we shall be beginning from verse 67 today. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatam ham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tassat. Yadavacharya Goswami Shri Rupera Sangi Chaitanya Charite Tenho Ati Bada Rangi. Yadavacharya Goswami is the spiritual master. Shri Rupera of Srila Rupa Goswami Sangi associate Chaitanya Charite in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Teno he Ati very bada great Rangi enthusiastic. Translation: Shri Yadavacharya Goswami, a constant associate of Srila Rupa Goswami, was also very enthusiastic in hearing and chanting about Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Verse 68. Pandita Gosanira Shishya Bhugarbha Gosani Gora Katha Vina Ar Mukhe Anya Nai. Pandita Gosanira of Pandita Gosani Gadadhar Pandit, Shishya disciple Bhugarbha Gosani, Gora Katha topics of Lord Chaitanya, Vina without, Ar else Mukhe in his mouth, Anya Nai nothing else. Bhugarbha Gosani, a disciple of Pandita Gosani, was always engaged in topics regarding Lord Chaitanya, knowing nothing else. Verse 69. Tamra Shishya Govinda Pujaka Chaitanya Dasa Mukundananda Chakravarti Premi Krishna Das. Tamra Shishya, his disciple, Govinda, the Govinda deity, Pujaka, priest, Chaitanya Das, Mukundananda Chakravarti, Premi, a great lover of God, Krishna Das. Translation: among his disciples were Chaitanya Das, who was a priest of the Govinda deity, as well as Mukundananda Chakravarti and the great devotee Krishna Das. Verse 70. Acharya Gosanira Shishya Chakravarti Shivananda Niravadhi Tanure Chitte Chaitanya Nityananda. Acharya Gosanira of Acharya Gosani, Shishya the disciple, Chakravarti Shivananda Chakravarti. Niravadhi always, Tanra his, Chitte in the heart, Chaitanya Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda are situated. Among the disciples of Anantacharya was Shivananda Chakravarti, in whose heart Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda constantly dwelled. Verse 71. Arayata Vrindavane Baise Bhakta Gana Shesha Lila Sunite Subar Haila Mana. Aharyata, there are many others, Vrindavane in Vrindavan, Baise residents, Bhaktagana, great devotees, Sheshalila, the last portions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, Shunite to hear, Sabar of everyone, Haila became, Mana the mind. In Vrindavan there were also many other great devotees, all of whom desired to hear the last pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Verse 72. More ajna karile sabe karuna kariya tan sabar bole likhi nirlajja haliya. More unto me ajna order karile gave sabe all karuna merciful kariya doing so tan sabar of all of them bole by the order likhi I write nirlajja without shame hayya becoming. By their mercy, all these devotees ordered me to write of the last pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of their order only, although I am shameless, I have attempted to write this Chaitanya Charitamrit. Purport: to write about the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not an ordinary endeavor. Unless one is empowered by the higher authorities or advanced devotees, one cannot write transcendental literature. For all such literature must be above suspicion, or in other words, it must have none of the defects of conditioned souls, namely mistakes, illusions, cheating, and imperfect perceptions. The words of Krishna and of the disciplic succession that carries the orders of Krishna are actually authoritative. To be empowered to write transcendental literature is a privilege in which a writer can take great pride. As a humble Vaishnav, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, being thus empowered, felt very much ashamed that it was he who was to narrate the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 73, Vaishnavera Ajna Pana Chinita Antere Madan Gopale Gelan Ajna Magi Bare. Vaishnavera of all the Vaishnav devotees, Ajna order, Pana receiving, Chintita Antare anxiety within self, Madan Gopale to the temple of Sri Madan Mohan, Gelan, I went, Ajna order, Magi Bare to receive. Translation. Having received the order of the Vaishnavas but being anxious within my heart, I went to the temple of Madan Mohan in Vrindavan to ask his permission also. Purport: a Vaishnav always follows the order of Guru and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita was written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. By their mercy, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami considered all the devotees that have been mentioned to be his preceptor, gurus, or spiritual masters, and Madan Gopal, Sri Madan Mohan Vigraha is Krishna himself. Thus he took permission from both of them, and when he received the mercy of both Guru and Krishna, he was able to write this great literature, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This example should be followed. Anyone who attempts to write about Krishna must first take permission from the spiritual master in Krishna. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, and the spiritual master is his direct external representative. Thus Krishna is situated antarbahi, within and without. One must first become a pure devotee by following the strict regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds daily. And when one thinks that he is actually on the Vaishnav platform, he must then take the permission from the spiritual master, and that permission must also be confirmed by Krishna from within his heart. Then if one is very sincere and pure, he can write transcendental literature, either prose or poetry. Verse 75, Darshana kari kailon charan vandana, Gosani das pujari kare charan sevana. Darshana by visiting, kari doing, kailon made, charan lotus feet, vandana worship. Gosani das, pujari priest, kare does, charan lotus feet, sevana service. When I visited the temple of Madan Mohan, the priest Gosani Das was serving the feet of the Lord, and I also prayed to the Lord's lotus feet. Verse 75. Prabhura charane yati achna magila, Prabhu kantha haite mala khasiya padila. Prabhura of the Lord, charane lotus feet, yadi when, achna order. Magila requested, Prabhu kantha the neck of the Lord, haite from, mala garland. Khasiya slipped, Padila fell down. When I prayed to the Lord for permission, a garland from his neck immediately slipped down. Verse 76. Sabha Vaishnav Gana Hari Dhwani Dila, Gosani Das Animala Mor Gale Dila. Sabha, all Vaishnav devotees, Gana group, Haridhwani chanting Hare Krishna. Dila made, Gosani Das, Ani bringing, Mala garland, Mora mine, Gale on the neck. Dila gave it. As soon as this happened, the Vaishnavas standing there all loudly chanted Haribol, and the priest Gosani Das brought me the garland and put it around my neck. Verse 77. Ajna mala pana amara haila anand tahani karinu e granthera arambh. Ajna mala, the garland of order, pana receiving, amara my, haila became, anand the great pleasure, tahani then and there, karinu attempted, this granthera of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Arambh beginning. I was greatly pleased to have the garlands signifying the order of the Lord, and then there I commenced to write this book. Verse 78. E grantha lekhaya more Madan Mohana amara likhna yena sukhera patana. This grantha, great literature, lekhaya, causes me to write. More unto me, Madan Mohan the deity, Amar Mai Likhna writing, Yena like Shukera of the parrot, Patan responding. Actually, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit is not my writing but the dictation of Sri Madan Mohan. My writing is like the repetition of a parrot. This should be the attitude, this is the purport now, this should be the attitude of all devotees when the Supreme Personality of Godhead recognizes a devotee. He gives him the intelligence and dictates how he may go back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavad 10.10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. The opportunity to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is open to everyone because every living entity is constitutionally a servant of Lord. To engage in the service of the Lord is the natural function of the living entity. Because he is covered by the influence of Maya, the material energy, he thinks it to be a very difficult task. But if he places himself under the guidance of a spiritual master and does everything sincerely, immediately the Lord, who is situated within everyone's heart, dictates how to serve him. The Dami Buddhi Yogam Tam, the Lord gives the direction, and thus the devotee's life becomes perfect. Whatever a pure devotee does is done by the direction of the Supreme Lord. Thus it is confirmed by the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that whatever he wrote was written under the direction of the Shri Madan Mohan deity. Verse 79. Say likhi Madan Gopal ye likhaya kastera putali yena kuhake nachaya. Say likhi, I write that, Madan Gopal, the deity Madan Gopal, ye, whatever, likhaya dictates to me, kastera wooden, putali a doll, yena like kuhake the enchanter, nachaya caused to dance. Translation: as a wooden doll is made to dance by a magician, I write as Madan Gopal orders me to do so. Purport: this is the position of a pure devotee. One should not take any responsibility on his own, but should be a soul surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who will then give him the direction as the Chaitya Guru or the spiritual master within. So Chaitya Guru, we hear this term all the time. So Chaitya Guru is the spiritual master within. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased to guide a devotee from within and without. From within he guides him as a super soul, and from without he guides him as the spiritual master. Verse 80. Kuladi Devata Mora Madan Mohan Yanra Sevaka Raghunath Rupa Sanatan. Kula Adideva, the family deity. Mora mine Madan Mohan, Lord Madan Mohan. Yanra whose Sevaka servitor. Raghunath Das Goswami. Rupa Goswami. Sanatan is Sanatan Goswami. Translation: I accept as my family deity Madan Mohan, whose worshippers are Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Verse 81. Vrindavan Dasera Pad Padma Kari Dhyana Tanra Ajna Lana Likhi Yahate Kalyana. Vrindavan Dasera of Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur, Pad Padma, lotus feet, Kari doing dhyana meditation, Tanra his, Ajna order, Lana receiving, Lena receiving, Likhi I write, Yahate in which permission, Kalyan all auspiciousness. Translation: I took permission from Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur by praying at his lotus feet, and upon receiving his order I attempted to write this auspicious literature. Purport: Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami took permission not only from the Vaishnavas and Madan Mohan but also from Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is understood to be the Vyas of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 82. Chaitanya Lilate Vyasa Vrindavan Das Tanra Kripa Vina Anya Na Hai Prakash. Chaitanya Lilate, in describing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, Vyasadev, Vrindavan Das is Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Tanra his, Kripa mercy, Vina without, Anya other, Na never, Haya becomes, Prakash manifest. Translation: Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is the authorized writer on the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Without his mercy, therefore, one cannot describe these pastimes. Okay, verse 83. Verse 83 is not loading up. Please bear with me. I think, here we go. Murkha Nicha Kshudra Muni Vishaya Lalasa Vaishnav Jana Bale Kari Etika Sahasa. Murkha, foolish, Nicha, lowborn, Kshudra, very insignificant, Muni, I, Visha, material, Lalasa, desires, Vaishnava of the Vaishnavas. Achna, order, Bale, on the strength of Kari, I do, Itika, so much, Sahas, an energy. Translation: I'm foolish, lowborn, and insignificant, and I always desire material enjoyment, yet by the order of the Vaishnavas, I'm greatly enthusiastic to write this transcendental literature. Verse 84. Shri Rupa Raghunath Charnera Ebala Yanra Smrite Siddhaya Vanchita Sakala. Shri Rupa Goswami Raghunath Raghunathas Goswami Charanera of the lotus feet, this Bala strength, Yanra whose Smrite by remembrance, and Siddha successful, Haya becomes, Vanchita Sakal all desires. Translation: the lotus feet of Shri Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami are my source of strength. Remembering the lotus feet can fulfill one's desire. So we will continue from verse 85 onwards next time. I would like to thank you all for joining. Hariyam Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.